I'm so excited today because we have three guests. Nishita Rao, who's more famously known as Veggie Rao, which is her Instagram handle. She studied architecture, but always being into sports like volleyball, tennis, and badminton. She chose flowing like an animal as a career. She's a certified animal flow trainer, corrective exercise specialist, and a nutritionist. Ritika Borah studied to be an engineer and worked in multinational corporations such as Google and Amazon before she decided to lift like a beast nowadays. She's a certified level 2 CrossFit coach and a YouTuber. We also have with us Sneha Desu, who's a doctor. She studied MBBS and worked as a bariatric hospital at a bariatric hospital before switching careers into wellness. She's a functional fitness trainer with certifications in pre and postnatal fitness, mental health awareness, exercise therapy, nutrition, and animal flow. All of them together have studied professional courses but chose path breaking career options and are dedicated to inspiring people to have a fit and healthy lifestyle. I'm more than excited to have all three of them with me today. Thank you very much, guys, for taking the time out and agreeing to talk to me. Okay, long introduction because it was three of you.
One take.
It looked so much cooler than it was in my head once you framed it that way. So,
It sounded very cool.
My podcast is all about perspectives, and most of my questions today here are for all of you. So I thought it would be amazing to have different perspectives on the same questions at the same time. So first, I have to ask the $1,000,000 question here. When you had professional courses and jobs in your hand, why the switch to fitness? Let's start with Sneha.
So the thing is, I was from a very educationally dominant background where my brother and sister went to IIT and this, so it was like the third child left out. Oh, let's just put her in medicine, and I would literally pray every day to not get a merit seat, but then I unfortunately got the second last medical seat. I was forced to do it. The every day of the course, I knew something was missing. I was struggling to just, get past my classes. I somehow forcefully, studied out of fear because if you fail, then you have to repeat 6 months and all of that jazz. So I literally pushed myself. Every day was pretty much torture. I still deal with a lot of PTSD from everything I faced during my MBBS because I just didn't want to study that much. I threatened to run away and all of that in between the course. And my parents, as any typical parents, were like, oh, it's okay, let's finish the course and see how it's going to be. Once I finished, I still knew this was not for me. And in fact, I was just, the person I was dating back then introduced me to CrossFit. I think a couple of months later, I met Ritika in the same box. So I just walked in. I was like a lean, lanky girl. I thought, oh, it's okay. It's just, I'm thin, so I should be able to do this. But I was so pathetic. I could barely move. I couldn't do anything. And I was an athlete in school. And there was this 8.5 years of gap, just studying during medicine. I think what drove me to fitness, just for my own self, as a lifestyle change was the fact that I was surprised at how weak I was, although I looked, lean. I started off that way, and it's a very competitive environment that I got into. I was pretty much the only girl with like 10, 12 guys at that in that session. So it just became really fun and really therapeutic, and everything that I was dealing with post my MBBS, I felt like there was this beautiful wind, and I just felt liberated. And so I never looked at it as a career until Level Circuit, in the first one in 2014 happened. And then I was identified by one of the functional training studios, and then they asked me to work for them. So that's how the switch happened. Even in the start, I was trying to juggle the hospital job with the trainer position, and it was a bit tricky. But then it made me realize that I was not meant to be in the hospital.
Yeah. So for me, actually, it's a little bit different. So I was never really athletic in school. I was really, really weak. I never really played any sports. So I never really thought I will be a fitness trainer someday. So I finished my engineering and I started doing these corporate jobs. And the like I was very skinny whole my life, and then you know what happens in companies, right? Like you work hard and at the end of the day you go for beer. So I started getting that beer belly, and I was like, okay, now I have to get rid of it. And that is the main reason why I joined the gym. But at the same time, when I went to a conventional gym, I remember for the first 2 months, my trainer asked me to just run on the treadmill and do 20 crunches into 3 sets a day. And I used to do the same thing again and again and again. When I finally got like irritated with it, and I just looked for some program online, and I remember there was this Chris Gethin's bodybuilding program, three months transformation, and I was like, okay, let me do that. And that's when I literally got a little bit interested in lifting weights. I still was lifting baby weights back then, but then I was looking for online videos on YouTube, and I came across this video of this girl doing crazy pull-ups, and I have never seen something like that. So I just searched for a CrossFit gym in Hyderabad, and I started going to Potens. But at the same time, that's when I realized that I can actually make a career in this field. And the point is, at the time, the awareness of people related to this field was very less. Many women did not even know that you can actually go and do a pull-up, because in most of the gyms, women were asked to just do cardio, like basic strength training also they were not given. So that is the time when I thought, okay, let me just switch my career and do like become a fitness trainer. At the same time, I'm someone who's very spontaneous. I did not really think it through. It was like this, that I just realized, okay, I'm just going to quit my job and switch. I did not really discuss it with anybody. I just did it. And luckily things are going good now.
For me, so like how you introduced, all my life I was like into sports. I think I started like playing tennis when I was in like first grade or second grade. So I played till like 10th grade, and I pretty much wanted to become a tennis player. I'm sure it's the same. It's the same seed. But then things didn't work out, so I had to like drop tennis. And then education, intermediate, only studying. I had to choose MPC or BPC, all that process. So I missed sport a lot. And then when I went back to college, I played volleyball a lot, and then I went to badminton. So fitness was pretty much all. I mean, I wouldn't say fitness, but staying active, like sweating out, was like pretty much always there. And I never knew that you could actually make a career out of being physically active, like be it sport or be it a fitness trainer. I fitness trainer was like not even in my wildest dreams. I didn't even know that people like that existed. Apart from that, I was always like pretty artistic. I used to love painting. I still do. I draw decently. So I thought I always had a thing for design. I still do have a thing for spaces. So I just decided that, okay, if not engineering and MBBS, I thought, okay, fine, architecture is another option that I could try. Honestly, back then, if I knew that fitness itself was another whole career option, then I would like any day, 100% I've chosen like fitness. So after architecture was done, I thoroughly enjoyed the whole course. But after architecture was done, when I went to the real world to practice architecture, it was completely different. Whatever you learn in college, you don't really get to apply it, at least for the first couple of years. And I'm very impatient when it comes to things like that. So, and then I was doing my internship in Bangalore. That's when I got introduced to this gym called Outfit, where I met some of the, I mean, they're like this one guy, Devrat Vijay. So he's like one of the best trainers in the country. So I luckily got to meet him at a very young age, and he told me, I mean, I did learn a lot about fitness mainly through him, not just by looking at him, but also through the conversations that we have. So I just realized that our fitness is not just about looking a certain way, but it's way more than that. So I came back to Hyderabad, and I realized that, sitting at a desk doing something that I can't really show my creativity yet. So that wasn't my thing. So I just decided that maybe I could give fitness a shot. It was only so my dad actually gave me like 1 year time. It's like, okay, fine, do whatever you want in this 1 year. If you can establish a career in fitness, then go for it. So in that 1 year, I somehow managed. I did a couple of certifications, And after every certification, my interest just grew more and more into it. And I think F45 was like a big opening. And that's where I met Sneha. And then I started following both of them on Instagram, Ritika and Sneha. That's how I met these guys. That's when
Wait, I don't remember meeting you.
No.
As a client or as a coach?
So I was a client for like a very brief period, and then I realized that maybe I could, how it works in F45. So I was there for like about a week in Jubilee Hills.
Common link between the three of us.
Yeah.
So all of you had sort of doubtful starts in this career, I'm assuming. When were you sure that you were moving in the right direction? You were sure like, okay, this is working out. I'm going to stick to this career path. Was there a point where you realized sort of an assurance you got that, okay, I am moving in the right direction?
For me, it was always like going back and forth because I was still preparing for my US MLEs, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I'll try Australia. So I was preparing for Australian Medical Council. So I was trying to pick a country to pursue medicine, and I knew back in my at the back of all of that, I knew that this was really not for me. So I think one day is where I just woke up, something like what Nishita said, that my parents were always skeptical. They didn't really, understand where I was headed towards. And then they didn't give me a deadline, but they said that if you do pass the Australian exam, then there's no other way. You are pursuing medicine. You're going to do your postgrad. And then if you don't, then we'll probably listen to, anything else you want to do. So I failed the exam on purpose. I literally just, didn't bother preparing. And then I figured, I came home and I'm like, hey, guess what? I flunked. So maybe now you can listen, because throughout my MBBS, throughout the time post, I was trying to talk to them. No one understood. Because they genuinely didn't believe there was a career outside of medicine, especially for a medical. So then I think that was the moment where I decided to flunk the exam, was where I really thought about how it was really, starting to really affect my mental health. And I couldn't let that go on for any longer. So it didn't matter what my parents said or the society said or, my friends said, because everyone believed I'd be this great surgeon. I never saw that. So I think it was the breaking point for me. I was dealing with a lot of stress, and my body was just physically and mentally giving up. I think that's when I decided that, I'm just going to choose this for myself. And then I will do whatever the best I can. And even if I fail, it's at least on me, and I don't have other people to blame, like my parents, if, my medical career failed. So I think that was it for me.
For me, actually, as I said, it was a spontaneous decision. And back then I was doing CrossFit, but I got my job offer from F45. And I was still very new to this whole fitness field. And I thought, if I enjoy CrossFit, I'm going to enjoy F45 as well. Because just like that, there are different types of fitness, right? Like Zumba, yoga. So I thought, if I enjoy one, I'm going to enjoy the rest of the other fields as well. So I was doing CrossFit, but I joined F45, and at the beginning I was like very much excited, because obviously it's something very new for me. And so I started coaching at F45, but after a while I realized that I really did not enjoy like doing F45. My heart was with CrossFit. And so after 9 months, I just quit F45 and I joined a CrossFit gym as a trainer, although the salary was much less than what I was getting paid at F45. And that's when I thought, okay, so this is what I want to do. Because when I was at 45, I was still a little bit, dicey about like thinking whether I took the right decision or not, because my parents did not speak to me for 3 months. And this is the truth. They did not enjoy the fact that I quit my career and switched completely.
I didn't really have a choice, because if I knew that there was no scope in architecture, because literally you cannot be, I just hope and no architects listen to this. If they did, then I'm good if you're successful, but it just wasn't for me. And I never really thought of going back. I just knew that, this is where I belong. Okay, if not fitness, then probably I'll just find my way from fitness into sports somehow. But I just knew that this was the field that where I belong.
Nishita, I know you've been a non-vegetarian your whole life, and then you're not anymore. Please tell us how that change came about and why that was important to you.
So we have always been, I literally grew up with animals around me, majorly dogs. So we're into rescue a lot, me, my mom.
I'm sorry,
my brother.
You're into what?
We're into rescue. So we kind of rescue dogs and animals and stuff. We used to a lot. So now it has like kind of reduced. So I think we could like empathize with animals more than humans. Like literally, I can never understand a human being like how I can understand animals. So that connection was like pretty much always there. But I think as I grew older, once I could differentiate or maybe understand feelings better, I think that's when it happened. So it didn't take, I mean, it was like effortless. I just had to, it was one night I was watching this video, one of the videos where animal cruelty is shown. So I was just watching those videos and I was like, okay, this is it. I don't think I can do this anymore. So that's how it's been. And I never got back to meat again.
Ritika, you were extremely skinny and underweight. I saw when you posted on your page. How was your journey from that body to your current body? And then you also jumped into YouTube recently. Can you tell us a bit about that journey also?
So for me, like obviously, like any other human being, I also wanted quick results, but obviously did not happen. To build those muscles, it took me like what, more than 7 years actually, to be honest. So now that I think about it, there were few things which I could have done differently back then, but because of the guidance or something like that, I did not know. But definitely, yeah. I mean, for a skinny girl to build muscles, it's really hard. Like people talk a lot about weight loss, weight loss, weight loss, but weight gain is also like equally important. But people don't put enough, emphasis on that. Coming to YouTube, I'm still struggling on YouTube. Just trying to be consistent. That's all.
Sneha, to move away from this comfort feeling of home and starting afresh in a different city can be very daunting. Why did you change your base to Goa?
Yeah, so I was actually living by myself. And I think one thing that I absolutely value is my independence. And I made that very clear once, for me, I think one of the main reasons fitness happened at the point that it did was I didn't want to depend on my parents for, even a penny. So they always were aware of that. So they allowed that independence, thankfully. And when I moved out and I started working towards fitness retreats, which were also focused on mental well-being. So my retreats, it's called Chitta, which means mindset in Buddhism. And the retreats are basically using fitness in the form of meditation, using different forms of movement and therapy, which, not as a qualified therapist, but someone from a medical and a fitness background, with whatever fitness has helped me, I wanted to show that to other people. So these retreats were happening in Goa, and every time I kept coming to Goa, whether it was doing more research for the retreats or just, being a part of meeting up people here, I just felt this surreal connection. There was something about the place that I just felt completely at peace. And then so the retreats were anyway happening, and so even without the lockdown, I would have moved here around the same time. And the lockdown just made it easy for me because everything moved virtual, and I could just move base and work on my retreats better here. So yeah, and then I've always been someone who wanted to grow in different ways. So being in the same place really didn't help with that. So I think moving to such a beautiful place, it's basically like a tropical paradise. You get to do so many things, especially for a fitness enthu person. And if you have a dog, you're sorted. So I think that's how basically Goa happened.
I was going to ask how COVID affected all your guys' work. And you mentioned it just became more virtual.
So for me, like nothing was virtual before COVID. I used to work at a gym, And then I used to take my personal PTs, personal trainings. But once the whole COVID situation started, obviously, like I was jobless for a few days. But then I realized that I cannot just sit at home and wait for the gyms to open. So I started posting on Instagram that I'm ready to take online personal trainings. And that's when it kind of picked up, I would say. Also, I used to take corporate sessions. So I approached the HR of the company saying that if online personal trainings can happen, then obviously the corporate sessions also can move online. And they agreed and everything. So things got back to uh, normal pretty quick for me, to be honest. But at the same time, I do miss going to the gym and training people in person. So yeah.
Nishita, did it affect a lot, the pandemic for you, or was it normal?
I think for me, it actually grew because of the pandemic, because my Instagram went up. I was never posting before this. So yeah, I think it's because of the pandemic and that I started posting more on Instagram. I got more reach, and that's how the whole online thing happened. And yeah, it was like a huge boost in my career.
I think for me, I moved out of F45 around 4 years of working for them, and then I've been pretty much on my own. I was doing personal training even back in Hyderabad. And when the lockdown happened, I was honestly just excited to move out of the city. And I was going to start afresh. I didn't want to continue personal training. I wanted to move to Goa and probably think of, other business ventures. But none of my clients wanted to leave me. And they are the ones, I think, even before people started doing virtual training, they pushed me to, try virtual training, and they sort of got into it. So I just ended up having all those clients who happened to carry on. But like Nishita said, I think the pandemic just ended up bringing out this massive creative, side to everyone. At least, fitness wise, when you're at home and everyone doesn't have equipment, it really tends to push you to think beyond what you know when it comes to the exercises. And I was just honestly just trying to help from my end whatever I could. So I was just putting out a lot of free guides, which I didn't think in my head meant anything, and I just wanted to do something back, to people around. And that for some reason actually ended up reaching a lot more people. So there were more people approaching me for personal training from the US, which was very strange because that was not even my plan. So I think that's just how it happened, but thankfully hasn't affected me in any ways. What I would say, in fact, made my life so much more convenient because I had to leave my dog all the time to go and train, and now I can just stay with him and train, and I think it's just the most I could ask for.
What judgments did you come across because of your, let's say, unconventional profession, and if you had to handle any negativity?
Nothing majorly. I think just apart from like really, I mean, my grandparents or the older people, I didn't really get anything negative. My family was like super supportive throughout, except for that 1 year. They didn't really say no, but then they did give me a deadline. So apart from that, it was all like pretty smooth.
For me, it's the same. Like my parents did not talk to me properly for like 3 months. It came to a point where I was like, I'm not going to try and convince my parents again and again. It's my life. If they don't understand, then it's up to them. But I have to live it the way I want. So that's what I did. And coming to judgments from people who are not related to me, I think that there are still many people who just thinks that you have to have a crazy kick-ass body with six-pack abs and big muscles like those, like bodybuilder girls. Like they obviously train for the competition, only they are like capable of training people. So still I think there is this thing that knowledge does not matter, but your looks does matter. Also, many people think that guy trainers are better than female trainers. I have come across judgments like this, but again, you can't really like explain people to each and every people, so you just have to let it go.
I actually had one point to this. So
Yeah.
I actually did come across that one thing. So people would look at me, they still look at me and they can't believe that I'm a trainer.
Yeah.
You? Trainer? They're like, oh, yeah, trainer.
Perception.
So, yeah,
Look at the height, size, gender, and then decide whether or not you're capable of training. Sneha?
Again, thankfully, there's never been any judgments whatsoever. But then I think it's also about how you look at things. If you don't really, pay too much attention to what people may think or say or anything of that sort, I don't think from the start itself, nothing of another person's opinion, mattered to me. If it meant the world to me, I would just pursue it. So I went with my gut. I always followed signs and I just went, linking those signs together. So really never had any judgments. But I guess, you end up being the only one. Like in an entire gym, you're probably the only woman, or you do get the eyes, but so it would always be people who wanted to learn more or who wanted to know what I've studied or something like that. And it's always been, even with the clients I got, initially I did think, maybe I wouldn't be getting so many male clients. But honestly, everyone was quite supportive, and, even the men were quite enthusiastic to train with me. So thankfully haven't felt any of that.
Once you got into this career, did you guys have any lost or confused phase, or that you weren't happy with where you were going? Anything like that? Or was it all positive? Nishita?
Not for one bit. I was always content, at peace. Even if I was like working that month, or if I wasn't like making any money at all, I was like very peaceful. All I needed was my program, my workout, my diet. Yeah, that was like pretty much it. But yeah, no complaints at all about this.
Ritika?
Same. I don't have any complaints. Like, it's all good.
Sneha?
I think when I started off with F45, it was extremely like rosy, and it was like this foreign Australian brand that came in, and everything looked like a time machine pretty much. So it was all nice, and then I basically was only able to work so much with the studio because you can't grow beyond a certain point, and I knew I didn't want to just do that same old group training job, and I wasn't getting the kind of satisfaction that I now do with personal training with group. So when that point hit, and we had to decide to leave, that's when I felt a bit lost, because I only had one personal training client at that point. It wasn't a career I had in mind. All I knew was, again, that I'm not happy. It's not something that I'm able to grow with, and I need to move out. So when I quit, I was pretty confused, and I had zero, I had basically no plan B. And I pretty much lay that way for a couple of days, and it did make me wonder what next, because it's not like I could go back to hospital. So I think just things happened, and people started inquiring about trainers, and I think my specialty back then really worked out, because there were no pre-postnatal coaches, and I was double certified, and so there was like a lot of pregnant women approaching me around then. So that's just how the word went out, and I was able to. That's just basically how I got into personal training.
One of my favorite podcast hosts, Simon Sinek, he has some mind-blowing theories and said that it's a misconception that courage comes from within. He says courage comes from having someone who says that I'm here to catch you if you fail. I wanted to know if you can relate to that at all, because all of you have been very courageous. Did you have somebody who gave you that courage, or did you guys pick it up from within yourselves?
It will be my husband. I mean, at that time he was my boyfriend, and I think he is the only person who actually understood the whole transition, although it was a very spontaneous one. And I just knew that he is going to support me no matter what, even if I'm jobless. So he's going to support me. So yeah, I think I feel I'm blessed that I have a person like that in my life. So
Nishita?
For me, definitely will be my mom and my dad and my brother, but that was actually never really like what pushed me to do this. So I always got things really easy in my life. So whatever I needed, it was like right there. I didn't have to work hard for it. not for my architecture seat, not throughout school, never. So I kind of started getting scared that maybe I'm like so dependent on my family that will I ever be able to achieve anything by myself? So I kind of actually shut everything out so that I can be on my own and not really look out for support. But I think somewhere deep inside, I always knew that my parents would be there.
Sneha?
Honestly, I've just probably, I don't believe in mentors or inspirations or anything of that sort. And when I started off, I would say I pretty much had zero support, and all I went along with was my own confidence. So even now, with the small projects that I do or any other work that comes up, it's just I don't believe in like a support system. I believe it's just you at the end of the day, and you probably have to be the strongest person for yourself. So I just believe in small signs from the universe, and that's about it. I just keep going and going across that path. So I would just say none for me. I would say that, yeah.
Because your work has got to do with being physically able. I was wondering, what are your thoughts on sustainability of this career path? As in, how long do you think you can keep doing what you're doing?
I'm not someone who does long-term planning. To be very honest, if you ask me what I'm going to do 10 years down the lane, no clue. I have no idea. But I don't know. There's no age limit to it as such. I think you can just keep going on. You can get super creative. There are like so many things that you can try and test. I don't think there's ever going to be an end to fitness. You always have so many age groups, so many types of trainings. You can explore so much.
So there's this weightlifter. She's Indian. Her name is Vinita, and she is, I don't know her age. She will probably be 60 years, and she deadlifts 130 kgs and squats. She's a power lifter. So the thing is, I know that we need to be physically fit to be like for people to approach us to coach them. But at the same time, I think even if you injure yourself tomorrow and you can't do anything on it, like you can't really stay fit as in obviously like can't do your regular movements, you can still go ahead and coach other people because you have the knowledge to do so. And this again, the same thing with Nishita as well. Like I said, it was a spontaneous decision. I did not really think about a plan B or something. So that is like a very long, it's very far away for me to think at this point of time is what I feel.
The thing is, I do believe in what these girls have said, which is, some of the best coaches are actually not the best athletes. So you don't have to be physically fit and able to continue being a coach. But at the same time, I know that it's not something I want to do long term. I enjoy this. I enjoy this for myself. I love training people, and I love how innovative you can get with ideas, with different forms of movement. But then it's not something I see myself doing for life. So, which is why I have moved to Goa. It's one of the main reasons is the options are so many more, and you get to meet different kinds of people. There are a bunch of different work ideas you can come up with. So I am working already on what I want to do simultaneously. I should probably have more clarity by the end of the year. But I would say, there are some people who definitely can continue with this. It just boils down to what you want to do with, what you have at the moment. So for me, I know it's not something I want to do for life.
There's a lot of misconceptions around training. For example, women lift heavy weights, they'll assume, they'll end up looking masculine, or if they take protein supplements, again, they'll insecure about becoming masculine. And many people ask for quick fixes about losing belly fat or some other fat. And few celebrities or people who have a lot of followers, do a reel saying that these 3 exercises to get fit or to do this or to become that. Many of them are misguided by all of this. How do you explain to these people that the basics of how disciplined and consistent you are is what gets you to your best? And also the most important thing, being fit does not mean dropping weight on the scale. So how do you If you come across people like this, how do you actually how do you tell them, let them know about, prove the misconceptions wrong and tell them what the right kind of fitness is?
I mean, there will be people who will need quick fixes. You can't really filter out those people. They will definitely come and approach you. But I directly tell them ki if you're coming to me to lose 5 kilos in a month, it might be possible if you are really, really strict, but that's not the healthy way. I mean, you have to be patient. That's what you have to do. And I directly tell them on the face that I cannot really promise you the X amount of kgs you will lose in a month. So you will have to be patient. And that is all. Like you have to tell it on the face. That's all.
I think it's just lack of knowledge. I honestly don't blame them, because when I started off,
Yeah.
I had all of those doubts too. I wanted to reduce my, or I wanted to, I thought weights would make me look big. So I don't really blame anybody. It's just lack of knowledge. And some of them will understand immediately, like just the first time. Some of them might take some longer time. Some of them might just take experience, trial and errors. I think as a coach, I believe I'm like very patient. So I can stick around. I can tell them like a million times if I need to. So it's okay. We'll get there. Like all of us will get there. We'll understand.
I think that's the problem. So there are two types of information going out on social media. One are the actual fitness trainers, and the other people are just fitness influencers who are doing this for followers or something. Because when you actually create content like this, there people will come to you and, oh, quick fixes. Let's just follow this person and let's just get a quick fix. That's what is happening.
I think it applies to all three of us, where most of, I think, our work speaks for itself. It's all about how fitness is more than just the aesthetic aspect. It's more about a lifestyle, a well-being, how it makes you feel, and how your goals are not quick, because we've been training for years, and I think people can see that. And also, it just again comes down to how I think all three of us lift, move, and do things probably on a regular basis, and we're not like bulky, or we're not the kind of women people normally think about or have in mind. So I think it just comes down to how, if you put out the right content, and if you actually honestly display your work, people don't have these questions anymore, and they come to you because they understand what you represent. So I think it's much easier that way, and I never had to literally sit down and break down these kind of facts to them. It was pretty self-explanatory with my work.
Even though if you love what you do, I'm sure you have these Monday blues and those days where you just don't want to get up and put your shoes on. How do you handle those kind of days?
I just do it. And sometimes I just take a break. Like literally, like even though I love what I do, there are times when I just don't want to do it and just be doing nothing. So there are days when I take a break. That's what I do.
So most of the time, I'm like, I would say 99% of the time, I'm like really excited about what my program would be that day. Maybe just one day in like 2-3 months, I'll just have like 2 shots of coffee. Probably that's all.
I think the coffee really helps. You cannot start my day without that. Because it does tend to get tiring and monotonous. It's usually back to back. Sometimes it really does drag you down. But I think that's the advantage of working for yourself. You can do it at your pace. And when you have that rapport with clients, you're able to tell them, hey, there've been days where I'm like, hey, I'm down with a migraine, or I didn't get enough rest. And it's kind of a position where both of us need to be understanding of each other's situation. And I think it's just about, if you develop a good rapport with them, I think you can communicate that. And I think I really enjoy working for myself the most because of just the flexibility of the work hours.
Have you reached a stage where you are now comfortable with who you are as a person, or are you still on that journey?
Now I absolutely am. I think it took me probably 29 years or 29 odd years to get here. I think I finally found I finally have arrived, is what I would say. It's not like I'm at this point where I know everything or I'm able to like have everything figured out or sorted. But I think a bunch of experiences, starting from even if it was trauma that I went through with my med school, or a bunch of relationships that didn't go right, and a bunch of careers that went all over the place. I think despite all that, and probably because of all that, I'm extremely happy with where I am. And now you're in a position, I think maybe it's the age, maybe it's the experiences, all of it. I think you're just in a position where you know exactly how you want to live your life. And you can just cut out the toxicity even before it, flares out. And you have more clarity with work. You understand your terms and your limitations better, and you understand your triggers a lot better. I think that absolutely plays a big role, not just as a coach, but as a human being, to know what your triggers are and to address them. I think that's probably the most important thing.
I kind of love challenges, so I don't really see anything that happened as I mean, it wasn't like a struggle. So I since I love challenges, I just like took it up very sportively. Um, so yeah, so there was like never a point where I was uncomfortable, because I really loved being uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
For me, there were times when I was uncomfortable, and I mean, now I'm definitely happy and at a better place. But at the same time, I think there are so many things I still want to figure out in life. Like, so yeah.
There may be a few followers who just follow you because you're a woman posting workout stories sometimes, in sports bras and stuff. And this may be just a regular dose of excitement for few people out there. Does this affect you that, you may be objectified instead of taking you seriously for what you stand for? Did this happen to you?
Honestly, no, it's never happened to me. Also, I don't think I'm at that level of a follow count that I have that much of demand, or no, I've not experienced anything of that sort.
So, like, I don't really think about it like the way you said, there might be men out there objectifying you or something like that. But it feels bad when you get these weird DMs from guys telling like all sorts of weird DMs. I mean, but at the same time, what I do is I don't really shut my mouth like most women do. I just put it up on the story, and I just directly email to the cyber cell, and there is a website as well where you can like launch, where you can file sexual harassment cases, and I just go ahead and do it. And there's an option for you to do it anonymously as well if you don't want to disclose your identity. So I do it, and I think everybody knows when I get weird DMs, because I immediately put it up on my story so that everybody knows. Because I think most women, what they do is they just delete the message. So this will just make them send these kind of messages to all other women. And so it's important that we start calling these people out. I mean, obviously they can create several other fake IDs, but at least, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'm getting something out of this, but at least I'm doing something.
So the comments don't really bother me at all. But what does bother me is maybe it's not reaching the right crowd. So maybe my content is getting lost somewhere in between. So that bothers me sometimes. But again, I'm one of those people that, just delete the comment or block them and not react. But I mean, I just don't want to get into bullshit. So I just like ignore it. That's all. I can't take so much.
But in terms of online hatred, what's the worst thing you've come across on your social media handles? Nothing negative for you.
I honestly can't think of anything.
You are so lucky. Like, seriously, you are so lucky.
Yes,
I honestly thinking Sneha's content is reaching the right kind of people.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I honestly have not experienced any hatred whatsoever. So no, I think I'm just blessed that way. I don't know. I haven't experienced anything.
Nishita?
I think I just block the person before you can like do anything more. So if you see my block list, it's more than my friend list. Like ever since I was born. So yeah.
Same, the guys thing or any general hatred. I don't mean men objectifying this time, just general kind of hatred.
Yeah, like recently I got a DM where a guy was telling me, why are you doing all this? Soon you will have kids and your career will be over. So I was like, what the fuck? So yeah.
What does being an influencer mean to you guys?
You know, honestly, I started putting out content for fun. It meant nothing to me, and it only started growing during the lockdown because I genuinely wanted to help people. So then, when that started reaching more and more audience, I think sometimes it's really inspiring to wake up to some lovely DMs where you have genuinely changed someone's life, and honestly, you're not even thinking about it. You're just living your life. I think that is a lovely reminder for me that it's making a small impact on someone's life somewhere in the world. So it's really nice. And there've been times where, for my retreats especially, there've been people who I've never met in person. They've come from different cities to attend the retreat in Goa, and then at that I think is like some level of trust that I was able to gain even virtually, even without meeting someone. That's probably that's something I'm really grateful for, that I'm able to do that. So it's good. It's good to these are the things that probably keep you going, keep you to keep creating the kind of content you do. And even now I don't think much. It's more about, hey, I also enjoy the design aspect of it. I make my own creatives. They may be clumsy and unprofessional, but then it's very therapeutic for me. So honestly, majority of the time I'm doing it because it makes me feel good. So not because of what's in it, but how it makes me feel. So it's nice when you're very involuntarily helping people, and it's good to know that.
So one of the points that Sneha mentioned, I think it's great that we're able to reach so many people and help them with their fitness journeys and stuff. So it's really overwhelming when they DM you saying, hey, this particular post of yours has helped me a lot, or it has reduced pain in this particular spot. So that feels really good, like really good. It pushes me to make more, post more stuff like that. I think ultimately I kind of also want to make use of this influencer post to spread awareness, not just about fitness, but also about the other kind of stuff that I'm passionate about, which is animals, street dogs, feeding, rescuing, and stuff.
I think both of them covered everything I just wanted to say. So yeah, I also started my social media account just to document probably my journey, and it just feels good when you receive messages from people like Sneha said, you just influenced me to be a better person, or your fitness is good, or something like that. So yeah, that's about it.
In one of the books I recently read, which is Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty, he was saying that, when you use your passion in service of others, it becomes purpose. So I was wondering if you guys feel like you found your purpose.
To be very honest, I never really thought about this. But now that you say this, yeah, I mean, I am kind of helping people through the work that I do. And at the end of the day, when I go to bed, I feel happy about it. So yeah, I think that answers your question.
Even though I said that I'm like very content and I'm like very happy with myself or at the place that I am right now. And I also pretty much every other day push myself way too hard, but that's just how I work. I'm not saying that's how everybody should do, but that's just how I work. I mean, if I'm not working for one day, I feel super guilty. So that's when I feel like, okay, I don't have a purpose. Like, what the hell am I doing? I need to do something. Like, there's so many things that I can do and I'm still not doing anything. So those days are like literally every other day. But that doesn't mean like, I mean, if you look at the big picture, it is like a very nice Picasso painting, but then the details are like still blurry. You know what I mean?
Are you saying you haven't still feel like you found your footing in terms of purpose, or you still want to do more?
Yeah, so there's always I will definitely want to do more, no matter how much I achieve.
So, I think for me, the retreats absolutely changed the way I was looking at my work, because when you train someone, you actually honestly are spending 45 minutes to an hour with them, and you may not always, and I honestly don't have a personal relationship with my clients because I like to keep it that way. So you never really get into their head and understand what they feel about you genuinely or how you've changed their life. But when the retreats happen and you're just in a position where, towards the end of the retreat, there are a lot of group discussions which happen. And these are all from my own personal experiences. I've put together everything that probably, hurt me the most and made me the strongest. And I converted that into a retreat. So when you end up having these discussions with the clients who come from different parts of the country, I think it's really moving, and I don't think there's been a single retreat where I didn't tear up, and all of them didn't tear up. Just talking about how movement in different forms can heal them. And it's not just physical pain, but like emotional pain and mental hurt, and so many other ways that just making a good switch in a lifestyle and finding that synergy between physical health and mental health can really change things for them. And so many of them go back and they still write to me about how they feel like a different person, and they've been able to do so much more after the retreat and things like that. So for me, that is a true purpose, because for me, again, it is what I believe in. And even if you can convey that to one person, your job is sort of done. And if that keeps happening more often, it's just like a constant reminder of how you're actually able to succeed in that. I think honestly that is probably true success in my head, is just your belief, and then you're distributing that belief to other people. And majority of the people who even message me on Instagram, they're almost always suffering with some kind of a mental illness. And that again is so inspiring for me, that there are people who it's already big enough for them to take that first step of seeking help with any specialist. And then they're also understanding that the lifestyle and fitness and nutrition, all of these are also quite important. So I think finding these people, or rather people like them finding me, is probably like something that I really think about every single day when I wake up. And that definitely drives me, because I am not sure if I don't think I can ask for anything more.
Amazing. In my experience, I've never felt threatened by a woman's success, and neither have I tried to bring any woman down. While growing up, it was in fact very inspiring to see women take, top positions. Even if I was jealous that someone was outperforming me, the gender did not matter. It was just my competitive spirit. Even if I take today as an example, all three of you said yes in the very first instance I asked you for this podcast. There was nothing dramatic, as they make all women centric stuff to be. So I was wondering about your thoughts on this. How did this notion about women bringing women down come about? And today we are having to consciously make an effort to support causes like women supporting women. Like, where did this come from, when I genuinely haven't experienced anything like this?
I don't really know where it came from, but uh, honestly, on Instagram, whenever women approach me, they like 100% of the time, to be honest, they always have good things to say. It's mostly, to be very honest, it's mostly men who tries to put you down. Like whatever I'm just telling what I've experienced on social media. I don't know from where it came, women, putting women down, because I like personally have not really experienced that. Mostly the women that approach me on Instagram, like, or any other place, to be honest, has always like had good things to say, and I've always been supporting. To be honest.
I am like total hashtag women supporting women. We in fact even started Made Off for that main reason.
Yeah.
Together, and it's more of a women's community.
It's I think I'm in general someone who's competitive in nature. I enjoy competition because it sort of allows me to like push myself more, not to a point where I want to trash someone or want to look down upon someone or anything like that. And in fact, myself and then also the women I've met across my journey, they've always been quite supportive of each other. Like my entire I think the minute I moved from CrossFit to functional training, my closest person in that community was Chevy, and then I was always inspired by her, and it was a very mutual respect we had for each other. And I remember when I went back to do one of the competitions at the box, I met Ritika for the first time, and everyone was talking about how there's this strong girl who's come in and she's lifting all these weights, and it was really cool to see that there's been more women coming and training at the box. And same thing with Nishita. I just messaged her the other day about how cool it is that she's training her parents, and because I have zero patience for family. So I think there are always these qualities that you pick up from each other. But what you mentioned is the idea of this whole competition applies to men and women. And also, I think because we're such a smaller community, especially with fitness, especially as women, it's a much tight-knit community. So there are fewer people in this field. So I guess there are more chances for you to, look at it differently and look at it as a threat. But again, it's all about the upbringing and the perception. And, if you are raised to do you, you will do you. So I think it just boils down to that.
Yeah, right. Even I've never experienced, women specifically trying to bring other women down. So I don't know where this notion came about, that women trash women. It's just surprising to me. That's all. Thank you, guys. I just want to end by asking 3 questions to each of you separately. Sneha, so one word that resonates the most with you and why?
Heal. I think it resonates the most. I even got a chain recently that says heal. It resonates the most because for me, if you've not been through stuff, and if you've not put all these signs together, and if you're not responding to it and learning from it and growing with it, life is pointless. So, people can just drown in their sorrows and, difficulties and be like, this is it, it's over. But if you actually don't look at the brighter side and don't look at the fact that there is going to be light at the end of the tunnel, you just have to fight through it. I think that is honestly the real purpose of life, understanding that and being able to go through it. Of course, everyone has different levels of strength and emotional, understanding, but everyone at some point can get there. So I think the word heal is quite important for me because I was able to make it or rather go through it and understand it when I thought it was literally impossible. So I think it's quite important to me that you grow through your traumas.
One thing you wish you had done differently, if you have any?
Probably probably choices with relationships, nothing with my careers. Yeah.
Right. One advice you think that is important to everybody?
It's hard to just make it one advice, but I think what would keep you the happiest is just blindly following what you love. And I know many people, question the fact that they don't know what they love, or they don't know what the true passion is, and they really can't demarcate it. But I think it's pretty much in front of you all the time. If you know something that makes you feel really good and doesn't feel like it's a work every day, I think you should just follow it with your gut.
Great. Thank you, Sneha. Ritika?
Yes.
One word that resonates the most with you and why?
I would say relentless, because I worked really hard to be where I am at this point of time, and I think you really need to be consistent. Like success, I'm not saying I'm successful, but things won't come to you easy. Like things don't come easy to many of the people. So you have to really be relentless and work towards your goal. So yeah.
One thing you wish you had done differently?
To be honest, at this point of time, I don't think I would want to change anything in my past, because all the decisions that I took got me to this moment right now. So yeah.
One advice you think that's important to everybody?
I think the one advice which I would like to give everybody is stop comparing yourself with others, not just in terms of fitness, but in terms of everything else, because your journey is yours. So it's better if you just focus on your journey and stop comparing yourself like with somebody else at every moment of your life. Like that, this can really make you happy if you actually stop comparing yourself. So yeah.
Nishita, one word that resonates the most with you and why?
It would be empathy for sure. Not just because, no, I mean, not just with animals, but even with humans. If someone's like not being nice to you, or if someone's doing something wrong, then that's probably because that's the best that they could do at that point. And if you understand that, it really wouldn't affect you. And if, of course, if everybody is like, and it's something that can actually grow with practice. So before we jump into conclusions or start judging people, I think we just like have to get into their shoes and try to understand why they're in such kind of situation. They're like, there could be multiple reasons. So I think empathy would be my word.
One thing you wish you had done differently?
I wish I learned gymnastics as a kid.
One advice you think is important to everybody?
I think they should like do trial and errors, because that's when they'll really learn. Even though there are like so many people giving you advices on what to do, how to do and stuff. Take it if you have to, if you like it. But ultimately it comes down to you taking your own decisions. So I think what works best is when you actually try it out and you realize that that's not working for you. So trial and error is awesome. Second is, two. So second is, if you think something is not right, like whatever it is, if you're getting a negative feeling about it, just don't do it. It has to be positive. So be it hurt someone or do something that's not right, just don't do it.
Thank you, girls. Thank you very much for this. Wish you all so much positivity in life.
Thank you so much.